You are listening to the FORSCOM Frontline, bringing you to our soldiers on the front lines of readiness. Welcome to the FORSCOM Frontline. I'm Ashley, and I'm your host. Today, we are joined by the FORSCOM Best Squad. The team competed at Fort Hood, Texas in August for the title, and now they're here at Fort Bragg to take on the Army competition. These soldiers not only represent FORSCOM, but they are representing their division, the 101st Airborne Division, as well as the 18th Airborne Corps. So today with me is Sergeant First Class Brandon Rodriguez, Sergeant Andrew Rao, Corporal Jared Kiner, Specialist Samuel Alvarez, and Specialist Liam Lee. And like I said, they are currently with the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. So thank you all for joining me.
Absolutely.
It's good to be here.
Absolutely. It really is great to be here.
Welcome to Fort Bragg. I know, Kiner, you've been here before,
Yes, ma'am.
but first time for the rest of you. So hopefully it's treating you well and you're getting acclimated to the weather. But before we dive into the competition, let's just go around. Start with you, Sergeant Rodriguez. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So I'm First Class Rodriguez. I've been in the Army 13 and a half years, closing in on 14 now. I'm currently a platoon sergeant in 2nd Brigade, 101st Airborne Division, 1502, Scout Platoon Sergeant. And two of these guys are directly in my platoon. And so I'm on assignment to go to SFAB, and so that will be what I do next after this competition.
My husband's the NCOIC at the SFAC Public Affairs Office.
Small-
so you might
world.
run into him. So how about you, Sergeant Rao?
I'm Sergeant Andrew Rao. I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio. I'm in 1502 Scout Platoon. I'm a senior sniper under Sergeant First Class Rodriguez. I've been in the Army for 4 years and a few months. I just hit 4 years in July. My next duty assignment will be I'm attending the Special Forces Qualification course
Nice.
on the 26th of February.
Awesome.
So that'll be what I'm on to next.
Very cool. So Corporal Kiner.
My name is Corporal Kiner. I'm a combat medic in 2nd Brigade, 526 BSB, and I'm a team leader. I've been in the Army about 5 years, and I'm from Missouri. My next 50-meter target is to go and to successfully accomplish Ranger School.
Awesome. How about you, Specialist Lee?
Hi, I'm Liam Lee, Specialist Lee, originally from South Korea, and currently in Fort Campbell, DECO 2502 DECO.
Okay. How long have you been in the States?
States around 6 to 7 years right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome. It hasn't been that long. And how about you, Specialist Alvarez?
I'm Specialist Samuel Alvarez. I'm from Avon, Indiana, and I'm in 2nd Brigade, 1502, 101st Airborne Division, under Sergeant First Class Rodriguez right here, and I'm a sniper.
So how'd y'all pick up these other two?
So we picked up these other two because they were they were on the
Really
level
good
in
at
which
what they do?
really good at what they do. To basically cut it short, really good at what they do. So obviously there was a small little competition within. All right, and they got picked up from that.
Okay.
And then they've obviously progressed from there.
Sure.
And gotten better. So
Awesome.
great additions to the team.
So we're going to start with a little bit of an icebreaker. So can one of you share something funny that you've learned about one of your other squad mates or something that has happened?
So I'll go first. Well, I mean, we used this one kind of already, but I think it's funny because we're still trying to learn. But I think a unique thing about our team is, especially bringing that another dimension. Like he knows Korean,
Right.
and so what makes it funny is him trying to teach us. But to break it down even further, Sergeant Rao trying to learn the language. You know, it's a funny thing because like he takes it super serious. He wants to learn that language, and he's just not very good at it. But neither are we.
Doesn't go well.
Can you give us an example?
Absolutely. Well, I guess I tried to learn the alphabet and just
Yes, started with
the
alphabet.
rules. And yeah, that's all I really got to. I got into like single words, and I can hardly write them.
Can you give me like one word?
No, absolutely not.
Every letter has a rule, and so we're still learning the rules, the letters, and you're just like, what? So I think that's a good thing because like it just goes to show like he speaks really good English, and he had to learn it.
Yeah.
You know, and so like if the roles were vice versa, we'd be struggling. So.
Oh, yeah.
What about you, Corporal Kiner? I think you have a story too.
I recently learned that Sergeant Rao is an Ohio State Buckeyes fan. I thought that was pretty comical. Terrible team, so.
Best team in
Are
the
you from
country.
Ohio?
I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
I lived there my whole life.
Where's everybody else from? Indiana, right? South Korea, obviously.
Yep.
Where are you from?
I'm from Missouri.
Oh, that's what you said. And what about you?
Texas, West Texas.
Okay, so y'all are from all walks of life and all over the country. That's pretty cool. So let's talk about the competition. Y'all were named the FORSCOM Best Squad, and you're here at Fort Bragg to compete at the Army level. So can you talk about what the FORSCOM competition entailed? Specialist Alvarez?
Yeah, it was just like pretty much all the competitions we've gone to so far. A lot of physical events, a lot of like mental, a lot of like shooting, rucking, just big movements to wear us down, lack of sleep on certain days, and there was definitely a couple events thrown in there that we weren't used to, such as like the chems games, or we got made fun of because we don't roll tires, we flip them because we're strong rangers. So that was a big one.
What about there was one with was it the water extraction? Is that what it was called? With the helicopter?
We landed on a beach and then we entered the water to get on a F-470 Zodiac boat.
Okay. Was that something that y'all have like done before?
So it has, and
Okay.
so like 4 of us have been to Ranger School, and you do it in Ranger School, and I
Okay.
just so happened to be a Ranger instructor down in Florida.
Oh.
And so I kind of did that a lot.
Well, there you go.
And so it was a unique, absolutely,
Yeah.
but I don't think it threw any of us off guard.
That's awesome. What leg up, really? So what was the hardest part? How about Corporal Kiner?
The hardest part, in my opinion, were the unknowns. Every other competition, you had a set timeline. This last competition, on top of being well-rounded, were just the unknowns, not knowing what was
Sure.
the next thing to do or next task.
Well, and you guys were in Texas in August. That's not like
It's home for me, though.
all those legs up. But that is not cool. That's not cool weather. How was that a struggle for any of you?
So I think it was something that we prepared for.
Okay.
Like, by no means do I think that we didn't struggle at times because of the heat and the
Sure.
humidity, or things were a little bit harder than they normally would be.
Sure.
But I do honestly think through our preparation, we were ready for the heat.
Okay. Now, what do you go? A couple of you have talked about mental and physical. Which part was harder for you? Was it the mental aspect of it, or maybe the physical aspect of it, Sergeant Rao?
I definitely say the mental aspect. The physical aspect, definitely, a few of the things took us off guard.
Sure.
A mental aspect, I'll give you an example. There was an urban obstacle course, and within the urban obstacle course, you had to pick out they had like random items set around. Like, for example, like a medium rucksack was set in a corner in a building, and we're just trying to get through as fast as possible. So we're moving through with these water cans, getting through as fast as possible, and then we get to the end of the event, and they were like, "Did you guys notice anything out of place during this event?" We all looked at each other for a few seconds, looked back at them, looked back at each other, and we're like, "Nah, we didn't see anything." So I think that was, and there was like a couple things set throughout that course that none of us noticed, just because we're used to. I don't know, I guess best word for it is like violence of action. Like, we're used to just like getting through it as fast as
Yeah.
possible. And no, we didn't notice any of those things. And then, like Specialist Alvarez mentioned earlier, there was also these tires, but they didn't mention how we had to move the tires from point A to point B. It was like a 25, 30-meter distance. And we just see 5 tires in front of us, and the first thing we think of is flipping the tires.
Sure.
But then they brought up to us after, they're like, "We didn't mention how you had to move the tires, so
You
why'd you
could have
guys
rolled
flip them?"
them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that what other teams did? Did they roll them, or
I think a few did.
They did. I think a couple did.
They
yes.
did.
honestly though, you guys still came out on top, even though you might have done it the hard way.
Absolutely. So, yeah, that mental aspect of those portions in particular, like intellectual aspect, we could have done a little bit better at.
Sure.
But, physically, we did extremely well.
And what was the mystery event this year?
12-mile ruck march.
Okay.
And we're super used to 12-mile ruck marches, so
Okay.
that kind of goes back to the heat portion of it. We woke up from doing like a 12-mile ruck march in air assault school and like Ranger school, for example. Yeah, we woke up for that 12-mile ruck march, and usually we're able to doing pretty quickly, and it took a few of us just about to the borderline.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty hot out. It was super
Example
warm
of the
out that
heat.
morning.
The heat definitely slowed us down a little bit more.
Sure.
Made it a little bit harder than it typically is for us.
Oh, I'm sure. I know it gets hot here, and I think it gets hotter in Texas, so I can't really imagine. So Specialist Lee, what have you all been doing since you won the FORSCOM competition to prepare for the Army level competition?
So we've been work out like every day mornings, like 6 a.m., 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And we're is a kid in the we're like heavy kid, and then it's as like a ACFT, prepare ACFT, rocking, and all kind of like exercise that we've been through during
Sure.
the last competitions.
Okay.
And especially the Sergeant Rob, he tried to like send us like work out with us under the like really hot temperatures,
Yeah.
because
Heat.
that's what we are struggling last time.
Yeah. And it's hot at Fort Bragg too. Thankfully, I think we're gonna hit a cool spell, but so you guys might get lucky. But at least you're here acclimating a little bit. So can I call you Sergeant Rod?
Yeah,
Are
absolutely.
we cool?
Oh yeah. we're very cool.
So what I just lost my competition. I'm reading my notes and thinking at the same time. So what are you taking from, what did you learn from the FORSCOM competition that you said we need to take this and work on?
So specifically from the FORSCOM competition, I think we needed to really emphasize. It's one of those things where you can absolutely work on it, but I think you just need to hear it all the time, and that's like our attention to detail. All right, we
Sure.
are very. I'm not going to say a one-track mind team, because we adapt and adjust very well, and I think that separates average teams from elite teams, and I think we do that
Absolutely.
really well. But I do think that we emphasize, pay attention to detail, like control. Like right now, we're really focusing and working on breaths and controlling our breaths, because we have stress shoots in all these competitions.
Yeah.
And the feedback that we have gotten is that we don't really shoot that well under duress. So, like, one of our primary focuses is to control our breathing while shooting, because we typically are the first ones done with it. And I know that factors in with the time, but like, yeah, sure, we beat everybody by 45 seconds, but then we hit 20 less targets collectively as a team. That's going to work against us. And
Yeah.
so, working on those types of things, I think we learned a lot about that area in the FORSCOM competition.
Okay.
Specifically, and we're absolutely working on those things, like using some tools that can help us, remember to, like, hey, we're in this room. Yeah, we're going to get out of it really quick, but like let's look over here real quick. Or, hey, I'm super tired after running 50, 60 meters, going into burpees, and now I got to shoot a target. Like, hey, let's take that extra second or two. Let's control our breathing, and let's try to like accurately engage these targets.
All right. So this might be another question for you,
Okay.
but please, the rest of the team, jump in. What has been the hardest obstacle to overcome for the squad to become a true team that really trusts each other?
Okay, so I got a good one. So
Okay.
so that one again was utilizing. We figured that one out in FORSCOM competition. So we did the LRC, I believe it's the Leader Reaction course.
Okay.
And so that one was a good one. Like, we do trust each other. We absolutely do. And that one, it didn't test our trust of each other. I think it really solidified how much we do trust each other. But it was challenging at first. Is because I think it was challenging because, like, we come up with a couple courses of action, and then we were like, hey, let's go with this one. I'll give you an example. Sergeant Rao, and I believe it was Specialist Alvarez, came up with a strategy on one of them, and I was kind of like, no, one of y'all are going to get hurt, and they were like, we're willing to sacrifice it. So I was like, okay, it's your body. Like, you want us to step on it, and then that's what we'll do until you get across this thing, and it worked out, and it worked out really well. And
Yeah.
so that was when I realized, like, you know what, like this like the team, they know what they're talking about.
Sure.
Like absolutely, and I encourage them to, hey, listen, if I'm making this decision, give me some feedback, make a recommendation, give me another thought process. And I think they do a good job of that now, and I think that really brought it out. And I think at first, I think we did really well, but I do think that, like, it was a challenge at first.
Sure.
We had never done anything like that as a team yet.
Well,
But I thought we did well.
I have two thoughts from that. One, you three are working together all the time. You guys weren't new to each other, but then you brought two new people in that you had to learn to trust as well. So one thought, and then the second is it takes a lot, Sergeant Rao, to speak up to your superior and say, no, we should do this. And it takes a lot, for the superior to trust, lower isn't the right word that I want to use, but you know what I mean. To say, let's do that. So I think that does show a lot of trust within the squad.
Well, I would not be a good leader if I didn't, take their four brains into account what they're thinking, because they're all smart.
Well, and it takes more than one person,
Absolutely.
Especially with the squad. And so that leads me to my next question. So this is the first year that the Army has done the squad competition. Why do you think, and you guys can choose who wants to answer this one, why do you think it's important that the Army is focusing on the squad and not just the individual soldier?
Okay. You got this one.
Because a squad, each individual person makes up a squad, but the squad is the smallest element of every higher echelon or element in the Army. And so you can think of it sort of as like a pyramid. The squad is the base of a pyramid. So if you have a strong squad, then you have a strong foundation and you can build on top of that.
Absolutely. I'm just going to, Sergeant Rod, do you want to add anything else?
Absolutely. So I think the Army has a lot of great individuals in it. There are phenomenal individuals throughout this whole Army.
Yeah.
And when one person gets motivated, he can achieve a lot. But to get 5 people on the same level, equally motivated, it increases the chances of something happening, like maybe a wife gets pregnant, or maybe grandma or grandpa's not doing well, and so their mind can come off of the competition or be somewhere else. So
Yeah.
I think it increases the chances of something like that happening. So I think to get 5 people together, get us all and then get on the same page, have the same work ethic, have the same mindset, and build that cohesiveness amongst that team to then go and compete against other teams and have success I think that's what is important about this going from less individual and more team. The Army wants cohesive teams. You need as a platoon sergeant, I have to have, essentially 8 cohesive teams that are 4 really, really good squads. And
So Specialist Alvarez, you are with Sergeant Rod. I'm going with Sergeant Rod. I'm going with it. We might have just met, but we're tight now. So you're with him all the time. You didn't just join his squad. How does he work, on a daily basis to build that unit cohesion? Do you have any examples or anything that you could talk about?
Oh, absolutely. So when I first got pulled over to the platoon, I never even had seen a platoon sergeant as well-rounded as him, both physically, mentally, and just a leader that actually cares about his guys and shows that he does care about them. Even if it's as simple as coming down to the call-off at the end of the day and giving the whole platoon a talking to guys at that individual level, and just telling them how it is, talking to them. So that's definitely one thing that he does that separates himself from a lot of different platoon sergeants.
That's awesome. You look like this was a little awkward to hear people talking about you.
I'm one of those guys.
I think it's awesome. I actually want to Corporal Kiner. So you came into the squad. So can you talk about Sergeant Rod bringing you guys in and including you all, and how that kind of worked, and how he made it not so awkward and weird?
He's just a great guy or sergeant to be around, honestly. He made us feel welcome. He didn't really exclude us from anything. Anytime we did something, he wasn't always going to his guys at first.
Sure.
He would include us.
That's awesome.
He just welcomed us and embraced us as part of the team.
That's awesome. So Specialist Lee, what's it feel like to represent FORSCOM at the Army level?
I think this is great honor. I never expect we are gonna win every competition. Because of Sergeant Rob, because of his leadership, I think our squad being super cohesion and made it so far. Yeah, I think I'm really super excited about next competition, and we will do our best.
Yeah. What about you, Sergeant Rao? Any thoughts on representing FORSCOM?
Absolutely. I actually got brought onto this team after the division competition, so I wasn't originally on this team. We had an unfortunate injury, or they had an unfortunate injury during the division competition, and me being directly under Sergeant First Class Rodriguez, he was basically just gave me a very candid phone call one day. He was like, "Hey, we're trying to bring you on this competition." I was like, "All right, like absolutely, I'll join." And then going to 18th Airborne Corps competition, they absolutely dominated. It was awesome. It was awesome to see these guys come together. It was a crazy thing for me to witness and to be a part of such a small, amazing team. And then I was like, wow, like we're actually going to represent 18th Airborne Corps at this FORSCOM competition.
Yeah.
And I didn't even really know what FORSCOM was, to be honest with you.
It's okay.
I knew we were under FORSCOM, but I was like, I don't even know like what echelon that is. And then we went there, and it was a super good competition, and we ended up coming out on top of that, and that was a super great honor. And then, coming to this HQDA competition, I'm super excited to see what we got. I'm super excited to see what these guys got.
So you guys don't know what's going to happen in this competition. Is there anything you're hoping you don't see?
No. Like,
Okay.
I'm just going to be honest with you. I think this team overall, like, I know it's going to come off, like, I don't know how anybody will view it, but we like competitions, and we like, yeah, everybody fears the unknown, but I think that, and we've talked about it, I honestly think that stuff, like, the tougher it is, like the LRC, the longer the rucks, the peak hours of heat time, I think it works to our advantage. We think that the harder it is, the better it is for us collectively. All right. And so there's nothing that we fear, or there's nothing that we're like, oh, we hope they don't do that, because at the end of the day, every time you get to your next event and you're just now finding out what it is, we kind of just look at each other and we're just like, let's do this.
Yeah.
You know, and we all kind of make that little smirk with our face, and we kind of already are like look at each other, and then we know it's game time. And so, like, in all honesty, it excites us.
Yeah.
Like when most teams, I think you kind of get like a little nervous feeling. Maybe you get a little butterfly in your belly. I think that, I'm not saying we don't get those, but
Sure.
I'm saying that like we embrace it and we're like, yes.
Yeah.
Like how can we swing this to our advantage?
I think competition's good. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to name the name of the bike, but there's a bike I ride in the morning, and it's got a leaderboard. And even if it's just me competing against myself to beat my personal record, shoot, that is some good competition and motivation. So I totally get the whole competition thing. So what, and I know you three work together already, but what sort of things are you taking from this competition back to your unit? How about you, Specialist Alvarez?
Just really learning how to like work as a team.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'll probably be a team leader here soon. So like figuring out how to like just meeting these guys and being able to work with them,
Yeah.
and just taking the lessons that I learned from that back to the guys that I'll be in charge of one day.
Yeah.
Whether that's just treating them the right way with respect and dignity, and then like ensuring that the physical like standard is enforced, and
Yeah.
like just like all these, like this team's just full of a bunch of like absolute like monsters, like physically and mentally. So like hopefully I can like replicate that with the guys I'll be in charge of one day.
Well, you made me think of something. You know, you're going to these competitions, and it's not just you guys there. There's other squads from other units, and you're seeing how they work together and seeing how they do things. So how has that impacted? Have you been able to, get some lessons learned from watching other teams, or are you guys just on top and you don't need that help?
No. So like, I think you can learn from everybody.
Absolutely.
Like you can learn through what a lot of other teams do right.
Yeah.
And you can learn through what a lot of other teams don't do so well. And I think that we can absolutely use some of that stuff to our advantage, as well as our own. But by no means, every team that we've crossed through division, 18th Airborne Corps, and FORSCOM, of course, we took in a little bit from each team. I can't specifically tell you like what we took from each team,
sure.
but we've learned a lot from other teams for sure. And then we've talked to their leaders, we've shared ideas. I think that within a competitive nature, we're still we're still learning from other teams, and I think
Yeah.
other teams are learning from us. And I think it's, it's beneficial to the Army as a whole.
Yeah, I think that's one of the great things about these sort of competitions is last year we talked to the NCO and the Soldier of the Year, and they said the same thing, we're going and we're competing, but we're also, these are people that I might not have met before, and I'm learning from them and being able to take that stuff back to my unit. So what have we not covered, guys? We talked about being a squad. Is there anything else just, through this journey, and you guys you might end up at AUSA being crowned, the Army Squad of the Year, which is pretty phenomenal. Has that like hit you? Does that matter? Like,
We're not thinking about that yet. We're honestly, we're not. Like, we that's the goal.
yeah,
But I think we do a good job at focusing on 5-meter targets.
yeah,
For that to happen, we're going to shoot the first 5-meter target. And we are eager for this competition to start, though.
Yeah.
We are. We really are. And
well, and so let's talk about that a little. What are y'all doing here while you're at Fort Bragg?
training.
Okay.
So we're training, getting inside their their H2F facility.
Okay.
They've been very helpful to us.
Yeah.
I know because like 101st and 82nd, like realistically, like it's like big brother, little brother. Like we can only pick on each other, right?
Sure.
But we won't let anybody else pick on us.
Yeah.
So like we really appreciate them helping out. They were our toughest competitor in 18th Airborne Corps.
Okay.
And we respected them. And then since we've been moving on, I really appreciate them letting us come down here early, kind of adjust to the heat.
Yeah.
The heat, because there is a difference between here and Kentucky right now.
Yeah.
Slightly, but there's a difference. And then allowing us to get into their H2F facility
Yeah.
and work out. And we're able to do workouts, kind of like what Specialist Lee was saying earlier, morning workouts, and then we'll go through like breathing techniques, learning how to breathe. We're working on, right now, I know it's just like with laser, and it's like animated, but with a screen, but working on mechanics for shooting, because that's one of our downsides, and then doing an afternoon workout out in the heat.
Okay. Sounds awesome. So I have to bring it up because you brought it up, H2F, and you're talking about utilizing it. Do you guys have H2F back home?
So we don't yet. So
Okay.
Fort Campbell is in the process
Right.
of getting H2F facilities. Like
So what has been your perspective on H2F since you've been here? Like,
it's game changer.
Yeah.
Absolute game changer. And so so I'm gonna say his name. Sergeant First Class Baldwin. We competed against him directly. He was the squad leader of the 82nd team, and so he's been helping us out here. That's what I think the Army's all about. Like we beat them, and we come into
Yeah.
his neighborhood, and he's still helping us out.
Absolutely.
And so, but one of the things that I joked with him about was like, "Come on, y'all have the competitive edge over here." So I think it's a phenomenal
H2F is pretty
tool.
awesome.
And I think unfortunately I won't be at Kimball when they get it because they're getting the equipment in now, and
okay.
I'll be gone early next year. But I think it's absolute must-have.
and so have you guys utilized, like the mental aspect, the conditioning, and all of the different areas?
Yes,
And
to the
so,
max.
So that leads me to more questions because I love talking about H2F. I think it's an amazing program. And honestly, every soldier that I've talked to has had nothing but good things to say about it. So I'm really glad that you guys kind of got to see it while you're here and know what's coming for you. But how have you utilized the mental readiness, resilience aspect of H2F while you've been here? Anybody in particular want to speak up?
Yeah, so we've used it all the way even to the sleeping aspect. So we
Okay.
even took a relaxation and a sleeping and even like a yoga class.
Oh, wow. Was that your first time doing yoga?
Yes.
Mine.
And there's a lot of groans in some of the positions. It's a little painful, but yeah, we've utilized like in the cognitive aspect, and like I said, the sleeping aspect,
Okay.
relaxation aspect. A lot of it is like diaphragmatic breathing. So like 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out,
Yeah.
4 seconds in, hold for 7 seconds, breathe out. We even had a confidence talk yesterday.
Yep.
So I mean,
It's
we've
awesome.
utilized it to its absolute max. It's
I think it's
it's
great.
been extremely helpful.
I think it's great that y'all are here too, and you're taking the time to just focus on preparing for this competition and, acclimating and doing everything you can to be as prepared as you can be. Because like we said, you have no idea what the Army's going to throw at you. We have no idea. But it sounds like you guys are ready for whatever comes your way.
We will be, yes.
All right. Well, I appreciate you all coming in and taking time away from your training to talk with me. Let me see if there is anything else that I wanted to talk to you about. Is there anything you all want to, any shout outs, any mentions, anything that you want to say before I let y'all know?
Anybody?
Wow. Okay.
I'll say one real quick. So, unfortunately, our unit went to Eastern Europe. That's not the unfortunate part. The unfortunate part is that we didn't go with them.
Sure.
We ended up winning division and then obviously moving on. The goal was to get out to Eastern Europe with our brothers and sisters out
Yeah.
there. So I do kind of want to throw a shout out to them. Like they're doing good things over there right
Absolutely.
now. And we're thinking about them. Like we talk about them and we're thinking about them. And I know some of us will be gone by the time they get back because instead of deploying, we continued on with this competition.
Sure.
And I know they're all rooting for us. Like they blasted out on social media, so we appreciate that. So we just kind of want to give them a shout out
I was
to
gonna say,
the whole 2nd Brigade strike.
I'm sure that they're proud of you and rooting for you guys too. So the Army's Best Squad competition kicks off on Monday, September 27th, and we'll have highlights throughout the competition on all of our FORSCOM social media accounts, so all of our listeners can stay up to date there. And again, good luck. We'll be cheering for you. We'll be sharing all of your pictures on our social media, and we're rooting for you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
That's it for this episode. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you can also find full video episodes of our podcast on YouTube. You can just search for the FORSCOM Frontline, and we'll see you next time on the Frontline.